Corruption adversely affects each and every sector
any
of the
sort of
country.
ideology.
This is a great location for Nepal to explore its potential.
Namaste. Welcome to Youth TV Show Season 10. In today's episode, we are featuring Nepal's top 7 debaters produced by Leadership Academy. The topic for the final round of Category 5, Grade 10, 11 and 12 is all students should be required to work in the community, as per school and college academic report. Our finalists are Ayusha Koirala, studying in grade 10 in Budhanil Kanta School, and Ayusha Pandey, studying in grade 11 in Modern Indian School. Our judges for today's final round are Santosh Shah. He is the president of Leadership Academy. Julian Hoff. He is a filmmaker and a development communications expert. Tal Shrivartsman. He is the Deputy Chief of Mission at Embassy of Israel in Nepal. We will now begin with the first round of debate competition. May I request the finalist Ayusha Koirala to come up on the stage to speak for the motion.
Do you want to be the student who has only gained academic excellence, or do you want to be the one who is well prepared for the future and is well equipped with all the overall development characteristics? Obviously, every one of us would want to be the one who is ready to face the real world and is ready to face the challenges ahead. The best way to get ourselves into it and the best way to connect school-level education with our real-life experiences is through community service. Community service is any voluntary or any work done to the community as a part of our work, as a part of our interest, or as a part of any courses, or as a part of anything. So, a school or an institution is the best place for a student like me and for students like us to start doing community service. Without compulsion and awareness, one might not understand the importance of community service, and one might not want to do community service. Just take us back to the time when we were in class 1, when ABCs and 1, 2, 3s were a burden for us. We used to think that ABCs and 1, 2, 3s were a burden for us, but for right now, we know that we are nowhere without those ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Without a burden for some time, we don't have anything for the later. In the same way, life is not just for the past 3 days, or life is not just for the next 3 days. We need to live in a broader sense for ourselves, for our family, and for the community. We need to give back to the community that has helped us groom ourselves and that we are a part of. For that, the school has to teach us to become a part of the community and to give back to it. As a part of college report or school report, a student will be compelled to get into community service that will help him or her get into problem-solving skills as well. We will learn different kinds of experiences. Falling one time will help us wake up the next time and clean ourselves. In the same way, if we are not successful by any one method, we get to learn a new method. We get to try a new method that might make us successful in the next time. Thank you.
May I request the finalist Ayusha Pandey to come up on the stage to speak against the motion.
My dear friend made it very easy for me, saying that community service, making it compulsory, is a burden in us. A famous scientist once said that a community service is something to inculcate within yourself. And there is a lot of difference between a community service, making it mandatory, and volunteerism. Community service is definitely something that one should inculcate within yourself and not something to be forced upon or not something to be compelled into. When you are a student, you have a lot of pressures going into your mind. You have things to do so much. You're pressurized to excel in every part of your life, and adding one more is not going to do any good to it. According to the World Health Organization, in a year, across 1 million people commit suicide, amongst which 50% of them are from the age group of 15 to 24. And amongst 90% of the suicidal results is due to the anxiety and pressure and depression that a child holds. How easy it is for us to come here and say that making community service mandatory is going to inculcate humanity and morality in all of us. But how difficult it is for an individual to stand and uphold all of it. Community service should not be made mandatory simply because it is not a subject that should be forced into. Is it? Now let us take an example of a famous politician like APJ Abdul Kalam, or a comedian like Kapil Sharma, or a famous football player like Ronaldo. if they were forced and compelled to do a community service at that point of time where they were focusing themselves mentally to be who they are today, right? Let me ask my dear friend that what is the evidence to the fact that if a child is not forced to do community service, the child will not have humanity and morality in him? But then what is most important for an individual, for a youth, is to inculcate the habit in us to focus more on what we are interested into, because that is the world which we are shaped into. Thank you.
My dear friend said, anxiety will be created in a person or in a student when he or she is forced to do community service. Who knows, community service would be an interest, it would be a subject of interest for one if we start doing it. Anxiety in itself could be the reason for suicide, but who knows, community service could be something that enlightens a person's mood when he is elated in a different abyss or is like really sad. Seeing somebody else happy because of ourselves is the best reason to be happy. It will help us be happier. According to United Health Group survey, 76% of the people decided that helping and volunteerism help them to make their moods better and help them become a happier person through community service. So my dear friend said, without making it who said like without community service a person cannot be humanitarian? But without seeing the miserable part of the world, do you think that we will value the world that we are living in? Thank you.
My dear friend very clearly said that community service gives us happiness, and someone might have a lot of interest into community service. But let us think of an example all around the world. We have NGOs and INGOs who work personally on community services. We might do better than in schools. So if now if schools start inculcating the habit of community services and start focusing more on community services, what would the NGOs and INGOs do? Teach science, technology, accounts and maths? Thank you.
May I now request the finalists to come up on the stage. May I request the judges for their feedback.
Fantastic, really great work from both of you, both Ayushas. A fantastic effort. I think you were both incredibly passionate and forceful and determined and thoughtful and well researched, both of you, in your points of view and your arguments. Yeah, I can't say more than that, Ayusha, Koirala, you were well researched, your presentation was determined, your point of view was very strong, your rebuttal was very confident. I thought that was fantastic. Ayusha, Pandey, great presentation as well. Again, very forceful, very determined in your presentation. I thought taking your idea of bringing in the bigger picture was a good idea. You have a very difficult subject to debate here. I thought you were both very, very good. Congratulations.
First of all, well done. Beautiful presentation for both of you. Ayusha 1 and Ayusha 2, very well done. I would start with Mrs. Koirala first. Again, I think you've done a very well job. You presented your debate in a very well way, but there's a slight of problem, I would say, but please don't take it, take it for the next round. You spoke a little bit fast, and sometimes when you speak a little bit fast, we don't quite understand what is the words that you're saying, so it's not helping with your punchline. So other than that, I think you did a very good presentation and you did very well. And Mrs. Pandey, you did very well job. I think you spoke very clearly, you had a lot of confidence, and you convinced me while you was talking, so well done.
Ayusha and Ayusha, both very well done. Ayusha, Koirala, I would suggest that you could dive straight into the topic, because in the first round you spent a lot of time explaining the topic, and which you don't really need to because you only have 2 minutes. So you could dive straight into your data, your counter, your point of view, why you think it should be made compulsory. The format that you used was more like public speaking in the first round. However, your rebuttal was very good and convincing. You were very nice to listen to, there was a good flow. However, please focus on the second round, that it's a debate and you have somebody to counter as well. Ayusha, Pandey, very well done. You had a good data and you straight away went into further countering your opponent. So keep it that way, and all the best for the second round.
We will be back after a short break with the second round of Nepal's top 7 debaters. Welcome back. You're watching Nepal's Top 7 Debaters. We will now begin with the second round of debate competition.
My dear opponent highlighted, if we get into community service, what about the NGOs and INGOs? Just think about it. There wouldn't be a single NGO or INGO that wouldn't accept our service and support in their work. We see that community service is getting more priorities. It doesn't add you points in your SAT, but it definitely helps you outstand from the students. Do you think it is because the schools would want to suppress the NGOs and INGOs? It is because they want us to inculcate the habit of supporting and the habit of uniting with each other. They'd want us to lend hands to the INGOs and INGOs that want to make the world a better place. Okay, so my friend said, with the huffles and puffles that we have in high school, it is difficult for us to manage time. Don't you think it is the skill of time management that is going to get enhanced? Okay, so you get a degree. You get a very good degree, but you have a certificate. But later on, after you graduate school, what do you need to do? You need to get out into the world. What will that certificate do to you if you don't know the world? How will you tame a cat if you don't know what a cat is? How will you go into the society when you don't know what the society's situation is? You need to learn the situation. You need to know how to deal with the people, and community service is the best way to do it. My dear friend, community service is no burden. Community service is no compulsion. It is an habit that one should inculcate, and to inculcate that habit, a school or an institution should and is better if a student is obliged to do it from the childhood. After all, whatever that we do right now was a teaching and was a basic teaching in our childhood. Thank you.
My dear friend clearly mentioned that the NGOs and INGOs would rather prefer the students to be inculcated in these habits. But what I wanted to say was, every child isn't a Mother Teresa, right? Every child cannot have the same kind of interest that the other person has. Let us think of a situation where Mother Teresa was asked to play a football. Do you think she would excel in it? No, right? Every child has its own focus, own mentality, own interest into. According to National Youth of Government, out of every child, 9 people out of 10 child thinks that community service should not be made in compulsion, simply because in a community service, every student does not have the same interest. Some student might not want to do it. Some students might not be mentally fit to do a community service. Now let us imagine of a situation where you wanted to create a good life for others but end up ruining your own life. What is the use of it, right? Let me give you one example. Imagine yourself in a situation where you have one medicine with you. You are ill, so is your neighbor. Who would you give that medicine to? Wouldn't you have it yourself? Because to help others, it is very much necessary to be strong yourself. To lay your hands to somebody else, it is very much necessary to have a strong hand within yourself. My friend saying that community service should be made in compulsion is like asking an engineering student, forcing an engineering student to study biology. What is the use of it? Is it even going to create a difference to it? No, right? So it is all on how you think it. It does not matter that what is the evidence to the fact that if you're not forced to get indulged into a community service, you don't have humanity and morality within yourself. It's an inner interest. You can develop it anywhere you want to, if you want to. Thank you.
My friend limited community service just with compulsion and mandatory. Community service, while I get into an orphanage, I might not find happiness in treating the children and playing with the children, but I might want to play with the animals in a vet and go to the vet. I might want to help the old age people. I might want to do anything else that is in community service. Community service is not just donation and is not just an orphanage. It is more to what we see. Community service for just a 15-year-old girl could be helping her juniors with whatever they're struggling right now. Helping others is not burdening ourselves. It is teaching ourselves to see a different part of the world. Thank you.
My dear friend, using fancy different words to the same statement is not going to make any difference and make a statement strong. If you had to revolve around humanity and morality, our first home, whose parents would not want his or her child to have humanity to help others, but then the only reason the parents send this children to school is to build a good career so that they can stand themselves in a position that they can help others, right? If a parent had to teach morality, whose parents does not teach morality, whose parent teaches a child not to be a person of humanity? Everyone does, right? But what we expect from a school is to make a person that we want to be, so that tomorrow when we become a better person, we can bring a wide changes in the world. Thank you.
May I now request the finalists to come up on the stage. May I request the judges for their feedback.
Ayusha Koirala and Ayusha Pandey, both again very well done. It looks like a lot of very good points that you had. You already finished them in the first round. When you go in a debate which has 4 rounds, you should always have some bullets left for the entire fight, so you don't lose it all at once. Second thing is, this topic is very close to your own life. You both are in grade 10 and 11, still in school. So one of the great point that both of you missed and could have brought out was your own personal experience, your own personal story. And Ayusha Pandey, you are not against community work. Topics suggest very clearly whether it should be made compulsory or should it stay voluntary, which in some schools, I think social work is mandatory because they mark it. Some schools, they don't. Some schools don't run any community work at all. So some of the examples from Nepal itself, because this is a very Nepal-centric topic, so those data were missing as well. Like both of you belong to one school yourself, and you could have brought up what your school offers right now. I know both your schools are very active with social work around the year, and Budhalinkan School has programs all over Nepal. Those could have added a lot to this story. If there is a debater from outside the country or outside Kathmandu, these are the data that will help you move ahead in your debate. So next time if you debate on a different topic which is similar to this, think of these angles.
Look, firstly, I think, really, if Nepal is full of young women like yourselves, I think for the future is bright for this country. So fantastic effort. I think you're both very bright, very engaged, very determined young women, and I really hope that you find good positions in the future as future leaders of this country. So really lovely to spend this afternoon with you. Ayusha Koirala, I agree with all of Santosh's points. I think he's made some very good technical points about your debating, and I agree with those points entirely. So I will talk a little bit more to your presentation. Ayusha Koirala, I thought you made some very good points. I did like in your second round when you used inculcate your opponent's word back on her. I thought that was a really kind of nice twist there, and lovely to throw that back at her. I thought you had a very good, confident presentation. I thought, fantastic work. Well done. Ayusha Pandey, I thought, again, very strong, very pertinent points, very well presented. I think the judges here are going to have some very difficult decision in a minute to decide really who's the winner, because I think it's very, very close, both of you. But I thought you had a difficult topic to argue. I think you did very well. You had a very difficult position. I loved your withering disdain for your opponent's point of view. I thought that was a really lovely. You have a very lovely manner about you and a very strong manner about you. So congratulations. I hope beyond this, whoever is the winner, that I'm sure that both of you are going to go on to fantastic things. Well done.
Again, very well done, both of you. Thank you very much for the presentation. And I can agree the topic was quite interesting and hard to present. So I will address mainly to your both presentations. So I'll start with Mrs. Koirala. First of all, congrats. I think you did, you implement our remarks, so well done, and I like it a lot. You've been much more confident in this round. You spoke much more clearly, so very well done in this sense. Mrs. Pandey, I think, again, you're doing a very well job, and you are a great performance, and you are very confident. I like that you gave an example during your presentation that make everything very clear for us and for the listeners, and that was very professional, I would say. And both of you did a very, very good job. I wish you both a lot of luck, and like my colleagues here said, we'll have a problem to decide who is the winner. So thank you very much.
The judges are finalizing their marks, and we are eagerly waiting to know who is declared the winner and the runner-up.
The first winner of Nepal's top 7 debaters, category 5, grade 10, 11 and 12, is Ayusha Pandey. And the second winner of Nepal's top 7 debaters, category 5, grade 10, 11, 12, is Ayusha Koirala.
Congratulations to the winner and the runner-up. Leadership Academy conducts Nepal's top 7 debaters and Nepal's top 7 young poets every year. If you're a student between grade 7 and bachelor's level and interested to audition for any of these 2 competitions, you can approach the principal or the ECA coordinator at your school or college. You can follow us at facebook.com Leadership Academy KTM. We will be back next week with a new episode of Youth TV Show. Namaste.